Bribery Bob Menendez isn't going down without a fight. The New Jersey Democrat senator is defiant and resisting calls to step down after getting indicted on federal corruption charges. The feds found nearly $500,000 in cash stuffed into jackets embroidered with his name and the U.S. Senate seal, as well as $100,000 worth of gold bars in his home. Menendez is accused of taking bribes in an attempt to benefit the government of Egypt. But Senator Goldbar vows that in the end he'll be exonerated.
The allegations leveled against me are just that, allegations. Not only will I be exonerated, but I still will be the New Jersey's senior senator. To those who have rushed to judgment, you have done so based on a limited set of facts framed by the prosecution to be as salacious as possible. Remember, prosecutors get it wrong sometimes. Some of the people calling for my resignation for political reasons say I have lost the trust of the people of New Jersey. That couldn't be more wrong.
The case against Menendez may be tough to beat, given that the wads of cash found at his house had the fingerprints of one of his co-conspirators on it. But Bob says never mind that. Hoarding $500,000 is all part of his Cuban heritage.
For 30 years, I have withdrawn thousands of dollars in cash from my personal savings account, which I have kept for emergencies and because of the history of my family facing confiscation in Cuba. Now, this may seem old-fashioned, but these were monies drawn from my personal savings account based on the income that I have lawfully derived over those 30 years.
Democrats are split on what to do about Menendez. Some say he's got to go, but the White House isn't taking a side.
This is a serious matter. We see this as a serious matter. I think, and we believe, the senator stepping down from his chairmanship was the right thing to do, obviously, the right thing to do. As it relates to anything else, any decision that he has to make, that's certainly going to be up to him and the Senate leadership to decide. But of course, we see this as a serious matter, and I'm just going to leave it there for now.
So, Judge, he was the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who was chair before that, or not before that, but in the past, Joe Biden. It seems like this is how you get the bribes, is you get on the Foreign Relations Committee because that puts you into contact with people who can give you money.
I don't know why you would be suggesting that this is a Democrat thing. It makes no sense. I mean, just because Menendez got a Mercedes and Hunter Biden got a Porsche, just because Menendez has allegedly gotten cash and Hunter Biden got cash, just because when Menendez wanted to have a meeting at the Vice President Joe Biden's house at the Naval Observatory, he doesn't call the Vice President. He doesn't even call Hunter. I mean, he doesn't call anyone other than Hunter Biden to have a dinner and a luncheon at the Vice President's house. Okay, let's talk about this case. Number one, why would Menendez, who was not acquitted, there was a hung jury in the last trial, why would this guy go anywhere near the edge of corruption, knowing that the feds don't take kindly to a case where they don't get a conviction? Stupid, number one. Number two, doing a press conference where you literally lock yourself into statements, every one of which will be used against him at a trial, i.e., you know, I took the money out of the bank because my family may need it in Cuba. Well, wait a minute, Bob. Did you give it to your driver or your neighbor to hold it? Is that why his fingerprints and DNA are on the envelope? Dumb. Now, in the amazing part, he wasn't willing to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. This is 2 months before the Mueller report came out. He said, we need to know for sure whether Donald Trump is a Putin puppet. And he goes on and on. Now we know the Durham report, Donald Trump, the whole thing was made up by Hillary Clinton. Now, as if people in New Jersey haven't heard rumors for years about this guy. He has been in public life since 1986 when he was the mayor of Union, New Jersey. You want to tell me how someone who's been in public life for almost 4 decades has $500,000 in cash that he takes out just in case he needs to send it to Cuba? And there's a whole other thing. He is right now, he's no longer chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. He's stepped down from that. But, you know, the day after he returns from Egypt, and I want to say something that's in his favor, the accusation is not that he gave classified information. It's that he gave sensitive, non-public information. We got to find out what that is. But in the end, the guy comes home from Egypt the next day, and he Googles how much is a brick of gold worth. It's like a murderer Googling how long does it take for the body to decompose.
Call William Devane.
That's right.
He knows the answer to that question. A lot of other questions, too. Jesse, so he stuffed this money in his jacket pocket in the closet, which is what you do with cigarettes so your wife can't find them. Do you buy his reason for having all that cash because you never know when emergency might strike?
So he says he's Cuban, and all Cubans keep cash sewn into their windbreakers because, the government can seize it at any moment. We Googled him, because that's what we do, and we found out he was born in the United States. His parents are Cuban, but his parents in 1954 had him in the United States. They didn't have money seized by Castro.
Yeah.
So this whole Castro, I wonder does Senator Rubio also keep gold bars and cash just because he's worried about the authorities? Obviously, that's BS. Gold Bar Bob learned everything he knows from the big guy. You nailed it about the Foreign Relations Committee.
Yep.
You're on Foreign Relations. You have the power to kind of green light or red light foreign aid. So when there's a freeze on foreign aid to a country, you say, you want me to unfreeze that? Pay me the cash. Or even if the money keeps flowing, you said, you know what? I did that. That was me. And so that's how these guys get paid. He learned it under Joe, and Joe did it the same thing in Ukraine. Remember that $1 billion? You know what? You're going to have to fire the prosecutor. The funny thing is, this guy also got a prosecutor in there to help him out. He got the Porsche, he got the Mercedes. Biden's had diamonds, this guy had gold bars. They all had dinners with the clients. It's all very similar, except this guy's even stupider than the Bidens, because the Bidens had plausible deniability. What I want to know is, the Biden Justice Department popped this guy a year ago. So he's walking around for a whole year knowing that Joe Biden has him by the gold bars. What was Joe Biden squeezing him for an entire year? Well, you go back and you look at it, this guy's been a thorn in the side to Biden and Obama for many, many years. He's been against the Iran deal. Biden's were into that. He doesn't want to open Cuba. Biden wants it open. He's against the whole Venezuelan amnesty deal. So this guy's now gotten out of the way. So Joe Biden, foreign policy-wise, he's cleared the deck and he can do what he wants.
Sandra, what are your thoughts here? He thinks he's being targeted because he's Latin American.
He does. He's played the race card. He says he's been charged because he's a Latino American. Those behind this campaign simply cannot accept that a first-generation Latin American from humble beginnings could rise to be a U.S. Senator. You know, there's a lot of Democrats who are now coming out, right, Harold? You've got John Fetterman, you've got AOC. They're all coming out saying he should resign. He got one thing right. He said, these allegations leveled against me are just that, allegations, and that is true. Innocent until proven guilty. But there are very specific, detailed allegations. So whether or not he'll be exonerated, obviously there are a lot of people laughing at that. The legal experts are weighing in. The Googling of the gold bars, while funny, could be, he could have just been curious, but we could have helped him out with that. Legal experts are saying that this is a monster indictment. It's very strong, concerning for Menendez, and others says should be concerned right now about these charges. I think this just highlights what Judge said a second ago. Like either he was really stupid to do this after 2015 or just thinks he's above the law. And I think it's another one of those stories people at home go, really? Really? And did he think he was going to get away with it?
Harold, I was shocked what you said in the green room. You said, why is it that Democrats always accuse Trump and Republicans of what they're actually doing themselves? Here's another example of where what they accuse others of doing, corruption, is actually what they're doing. Is this a form of distraction?
The commercial where they said, let's go to the tape.
Yes.
We should go to the tape. I don't recall it quite that way, but I'll say this. Judge, I agree with everything that's been said around the table. He's presumed innocent until proven otherwise. If you listen to what John Fetterman said, who was the first senator to call for him to resign, he said he's entitled, this is what John Fetterman said about Senator Menendez, he's entitled to the presumption of innocence on our system, but he is not entitled to continue to wield influence over national policy, especially given the serious and specific nature of the allegations.
And he said that wearing pajama bottoms.
Now, you have Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey. You have several members of that delegation. The one member of the delegation I think some are waiting to hear from is Senator Booker, who's been they have been great allies in the Senate. We'll see what happens there. Legally, I agree with the judge. Some of these things, some of the facts here, very different than the first case that Senator Menendez dealt with. You may recall he was accused of wielding influence for a personal friend, and they apparently took trips together, and he got off on that in the hung jury. This here, there's just more details. There are emails, there are texts. And again, we all will hear his defense when he's able to do it. But when the White House today said this was a serious matter and didn't want to respond about it, I'm not convinced, Jesse, that the theory that you have, it's your theory. I respect it. I'm not sure that's the theory that I think that the White House wants him out of the way. But I do believe that Senator Menendez, he may be at the height of, unless he's able to present more evidence, Judge, in the coming days to show that this stuff is not true. I don't imagine he's going to gain more allies over the next few days, over the next few weeks. He could actually lose more. Apparently, he's hired Abby Lowell, or maybe continued using Abby Lowell, who's a good lawyer. So we'll all have to wait
Hunter
and see.
Biden's lawyer.
But he was Menendez's lawyer prior to that. He was also Judge Jared Kushner's lawyer, also.
That's
Abby
true.
Lowell was.
Yeah.
Everybody. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.